Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Vishawn Jones, visionary of Fedora Outlier LLC. And of course, we round the corner in the kitchen and we have what is brewing, the proverbial cup of coffee. And so I got this question over the weekend. I was traveling to the DMV. I told you, the Delaware, Maryland, Virginia area, to help empower some people from 6 states. It was an amazing trip. Thank you all for allowing me to share my travels with you guys. But one of the questions came up, and it was something that I had to ponder and really think about, but it was, is the VR system really broke? And the answer that I gave them, after being a part of several systems, VR, VA, Department of Education, creating my own systems, because you guys do realize that that's all a business is a system that works. So Burger King is only different in McDonald's based on the system, what they put in their burgers, how they cook them, the differentiating factors between flame broiled versus whatever McDonald's does, and so on and so forth. But so the VR system, man, I remember talking to people and they say years ago VR was great. I was like, well, why was it great? Man, they was giving out computers and they was giving out this and they was giving out that. And I'm like, that doesn't make it great. It seemed like they were trying to find their way and people were requesting things and they brought them. And then fast forward, they realized that majority of the time, the things that they brought never put you into a position to win as far as employment. So they actually lost. If you look at the balance sheet, return on investment, I spent $20,000 on equipment because it was super high. I mean, a Braille display was, $8,000. And it was amazingly high. So you couple a $8,000 computer, 8,000 Braille display, a computer, some orientation and mobility, and some daily living skills, and I mean, the state's easily out 30,000, while you say you want a job, and that's all it was based off of. Hey, I want to work. Well, in order for me to work, I need this Braille display. Then you get the Braille display and you don't go to work. So anyway, that was like 20 years ago, 10 years ago. In some states, it's still going on. One of the states that I was in spent a lot of money on equipment. And when you look at the numbers, because that's what matters, the employment rate is super low. But no, the system is not really broke. I'm going to tell you what's really broke. It's the human-to-human interaction that's broke. And I'll tell you how that works. As a person living with disabilities, you come to your counselor. Now, this is the human to human. And you say, hey, I want to be X. Now, this person who really truly has no experience in X makes the decision as to whether you can actually do that with VR's help. And they have no experience. Now, here's the other piece. Because you're disabled, 9 times out of 10, you're not able to do what you did as a fully ambulatory person, or you are disabled from birth and you've never attempted to do it. So neither have you done X. So now you have to convince the counselor, this is what I need to do it. This is how it's going to help me. This is why this stuff is needed. And justification becomes your biggest tool. Most people do not know how to justify something. And guess what? The smaller word for justify, the smaller phrase, is to be able to explain why and how, when and where, who and what. Who, what, when, where, what, how. That's justification. And it was crazy with my particular case because I literally had 7 counselors, director of blindness services at the time. Everybody had their hand in it, along with the Small Business Development Center and SCORE and the what's the federal people that actually do small business, SBA, Small Business Administration. Everybody had a hand in my business plan and what I wanted to do. So I got really, really good on paper with justification. I could justify it in my head because I knew what I wanted to do and I knew it would work because I've been doing it forever. But I never had to explain it to someone and put it on paper and make it plain for all these different people. And so once I realized that, I began to help other people with the justification and the human-to-human interaction. And I was talking to several counselors over the weekend, and they have 100 people on their caseload. And then when you break down those numbers, how many people out of your case actually become employed? And we're literally looking at 4 people, maybe, out of 100. And their work is done. They flip through the folders or the computer files and they update them and they send their supervisor a report, and that system works. What's not working is when you as a disabled person comes in and says, I want to do X, and you don't have any justification as to how to do X. And then it becomes a battle. Guess what happens? Most people get frustrated. They quit. Quitters never win, winners never quit. And your case continues to be floundered around until you decide what you want to do, how you want to do it, where you want to go, how you're going to get there, why do you want to do it. And I hear people bragging, and it just kind of, because I've had this conversation literally hundreds of times, and I hear people bragging and not really knowing the significance of it, but they say, I walked into my counsel's office, I had everything they needed, it was color coded, I had paper clips on it, when she asked me for this, I had that, I was ready for her. And I'm like, yeah, you was ready for it. And she couldn't say no. My counselor didn't tell me no. She said, okay, we can do it. And, I didn't realize that what that person actually was saying, though they were bragging, which is great, I love a little braggadocious, is that they had all their ducks in order. They had all the questions that the counselor would ask in order. They had all the equipment and what it would cost for the individual or for themselves in order, ready to go. And it left little work for the counselor to do because, remember, their job is updating files and helping you with your plan and making sure that what you desire is in order. So they don't have time to do your research for you for your job. So I don't think the system is really broke. I think we have to get better at justifying, being realistic. I hate that phrase when it's being used in the context of which is being used, but I don't mean be realistic like you can't be president of the United States. I don't mean be realistic like you won't be able to fly an airplane or something like that. What I mean by being realistic is knowing that it's not going to happen overnight. Even if you have all your ducks in order, it's still going to take, at minimum, in most cases, a few months. But you got people that have had caseloads and people on their cases for 3, 5, 10, 20 years, literally, in the system. So it seems like if it's a system, eventually you should get in and get out. And if you're not getting out, then I can guarantee you're doing something wrong. My job is to help you maneuver through the system. It's all the same. They all come down from RSA, the federal government, and no matter how it's worded, it's still the same thing. Whether you change it from this name to that name, if the system hasn't changed, you're still going to get the same result. The name, nobody says, hey, I named my company the best name it could be, and that's why we're successful. No, the system works in your business. The system works. So the VR system is not broke. It actually works. Now, you'll get counselors that will tell you, well, why don't you go to the Industries for the Blind? That's a great start for you. No, that's an easy win for you, counselor. Or they'll say, why don't you tune pianos? That's still a job for the blind. No, nobody wants to do that. That's not my talent. That's not my passion to tune pianos. I love music, but I don't want to be the one tuning the pianos to make it. Oh, we got this program over in Arkansas called Lions World. Lions World. Lions World. Come on now. And you can go work at the IRS, our federal government. You can do it. No, those are easy wins for the counselor. They are great programs. They're set up for you to be streamlined into mainstream employment, competitive, integrative, whatever, you know. But if that's not what you want to do or be or go or have your talents displayed in, then no, don't take that. That's an easy win for the counselor to close out your case and say, we got another successful employment case resolved. Well, it is great for some people. But I don't want to work 25 years of my life making minimum wage with barely any chance of advancement. I don't want to work 1 year without the chance for advancement. So think about it. You guys actually want your case closed. Find out what you want to do. Let's develop a pathway to get there. Let's justify it. Let's change the world. Let's close out some cases all around this globe. Let's change the world together.